I'll be here with them all the way through till 6. And we rumble the issues. So let me see if I can link up with Mickela. She's already online. Good afternoon, Mickela.
Good afternoon, Daddy Mac. Good afternoon, and Ruben, and to all of our listeners.
Yes, I miss you like crazy, girl.
I miss you too. It's been, it seems like forever.
Yes, yes,
But I've
yes.
been listening. I've been listening to you. How are things going?
Well, things are okay. We just experiencing some really rainy weather conditions these days. You know, my
Absolutely.
work, I did not reach here in time because Central was under some heavy rainfall, and I just hope that it doesn't flood out and all of that, especially on the highway. But other than
Exactly.
that,
I'm in Central as well, so
oh
I know exactly what you were talking about. It was a
yes,
very heavy, and it's south right now. It's heavy, and you know what happens to all these side roads. And I can actually look out from my window and all these lovely ladies standing outside, unable to walk because the roads have filled up
yes,
completely with
yes,
water. And you know how it goes. Same
yes.
story,
Same story over and over and
over and
over.
over.
When do you think we're gonna get some sort of a fix it? Or when do you think
I
we can get across this kind of hump?
I think you need the political will. One, you need all hands on deck and everybody wanting to do what's best for the country. You
Yeah.
need good leadership. And I don't say that simply in terms of the prime minister.
Mhm.
Leadership throughout, so that we have in all the different organizations and public bodies, that we have the right management,
Yeah.
that things are function. It's simple. I don't expect. I know everybody ultimately blames whoever the prime minister of the day is, and to an extent rightly so. The buck stops with the prime minister, but the prime minister cannot do everything
Mhm.
regardless of who the prime minister is. So this isn't whether it's Mr. Rowley, Mr. Manning, Mr. Panday, Mrs. Bissessa, but you have to have the right leadership and get everybody um, rowing in the same direction.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And right now I don't think that is happening. And what we're seeing is the country becoming more and more divided. The issues that our leaders are focusing on right at this moment is not really probably what's most important to how people are feeling, and whether it is that they're not safe, or whether it is the roads are terrible, whether it is they don't have water, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think people want to hear more about solutions to that. And unfortunately, when we do get a chance to listen to our leaders outside of the parliament, and they have their party meetings, it
Mhm.
seems to be a conversation between them, although they're not speaking sort of to each other in front of each other's faces. But
Mhm.
because on Monday nights accusations are hurled, on Tuesday they responded to that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I
Mhm.
definitely think that certain things have to be responded to.
Yes.
Um, you can't just let things go. But the media then also will focus upon that,
Yeah.
as opposed to other important things that we'll perhaps discuss. And whether that is on social media or radio or print media, what's focused on is somebody like Anna Roberts, who I can't believe people still listen to. Forgive me. Um, that's my personal point of view. I don't say that representing my party or anybody else. Making silly videos and upsetting people, and this nonsense, and the tit for tat. I just find it so
Childish.
disgraceful and childish.
Yes. Very childish.
Don't get me wrong. Um, my father was the prime minister, and I know for a fact how horrendous certain parts of the media were to my mother, how invasive of my poor grandmother's privacy, and going to her house, and when she was ill, going in the house, all kinds of things they do, right?
Yes. Yes.
And they say all kinds of things, and I always say, You know, I chose to get into politics. Nobody forced me, and therefore I have to have thick enough skin to deal with things.
Yes.
And you expect that things will come to you, and that's fine. Up with because she's the wife of a politician, and of course things as children, and it's just 4 girls, and as children we had to do so as well. But I think that the lines have been so crossed. They've been so crossed, and when you do things like TikTok videos where they're very young people watching and on, you know, and to the lowest degree, I mean, honestly, whether things like this is true or not doesn't affect the price of food, so it's irrelevant to me.
That's right.
It doesn't mean I have to buy new tires and shocks and rims and every week because the road is bad. It doesn't affect it, you know. But the goading, you know, of people to make them respond, and then of course, you know, sometimes you have to respond.
Yeah.
And it's sickening. I find it so sickening because things are getting worse.
Yes.
And we want our leaders to focus, to see beyond their noses, to see beyond political party, to see this is our country and we're spiraling very quickly out of control. That we need to work together, that we need to come up with a plan to implement a vision which will make people's lives better. That ain't old talk, that's a reality. And if you put it into action, you will see immediate improvement. You will see it, you know. I am just so sick of this. Every day is a fight down. You know, every day is this nonsense, but yet we're waking up to crime, we're waking up to all the hunger, you know, all the problems that we have now is just, they've gotten worse than they were before. People killing people, the women fancy, the mental health issues, and you just see it getting worse because you just need to look at the newspaper in the morning. You just need, you know, I have certain news outlets on Twitter, and I have notifications, so when things come up, I'm always aware of what's happening, and I'm seriously very much thinking about taking it off because it's becoming really depressing as well. You know, when I wasn't so well a couple of weeks ago, you know, you have time to sort of sit and go through things, and you spend a little bit more time reading things that are online, and it's really, 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 really debilitating mentally to see what's happening, and that there's no way out, and no one in authority. I mean, I can speak till I'm blue in the face. I don't have power to do anything. You know, whatever little that I can do, and I'm sure not just me and not just only as a politician, I know there are many charitable groups and volunteers throughout the country doing great things.
Yeah.
There's only so much that we can do as well. So, yeah, to answer the question that we started with, because I see Richie online, to answer the question that we started with, you know, when is it going to happen? Well, when they want it, when those who can do something about it too want it to happen.
And we cannot wait that long. It seems that that's been going on forever, and it seems like it's on a path of continuation. But we cannot.
And they have to go.
Road.
We have to therefore remove or change the status quo, and that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people do ask themselves, remove and put who? You know, so people have to, good people, right thinking people.
Yeah.
There's Rich.
Yes.
My boy. Let me get my video. There you go. Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful lady in the leader of our country, the best looking political
I go up and up every day with Richie, you know, every day. So I said, best looking. political leader, the best political
Ever,
politician,
ever.
in the whole world.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I agree. Come on.
Too sweet,
Yeah.
too sweet, too. How you, Rich?
Good, well, better now. We miss you so much, Mix. We miss you. We miss you.
I
I mean, we can say for about 2 weeks.
Yes, I
Yeah.
didn't, and I thought I was listening to you to hear your voice and to see what's going on because you're the only person on radio making sense these days.
Also,
Sorry.
you were tuned in.
I have to.
I
But
see. I see.
I had a terrible cough, and it was sometimes when you try to speak, you have to breathe in, and you're just coughing and spluttering all over the place and all of that. But yes, I've been following everything, and I've been looking forward to coming back because I have some things I want to talk about, and
Yes.
I want all listeners to hear about. And Rich, I don't know if Melissa had said to you, but we have a lovely guest on this evening.
No, I think she may have emailed me.
Yeah.
So,
It's a lovely guest. She's not a politician or anything. She's just a resident. She's some point really nice girl. She reached out to me, very intelligent, and she wanted to discuss a few issues. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to give somebody different who is not the same people saying the same thing for us in our little program to give them a voice. Because so many people right now feel they don't have one.
Makes you a political leader in this country. Anybody you choose to bring on anytime, you just do so. You don't even have to justify it. We move full throttle ahead. Yeah.
Good. So hey, what I want us to start because I know I want to get so many things, your views on so many things.
Yeah.
And I know one or two you may have discussed, but I want us to discuss it together.
The listeners will still want your view on it, on those things.
Good.
Yeah.
So, Rich, tell me something. The special, I wanted to, first of all, I have about 3 topics before she comes on, but I wanted to, the special payment for the health workers.
Yeah.
I think this is a good initiative.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's welcome, at least, because I know for a fact that health workers were putting their lives and their family lives at risk every time they came to work. But I wanted to know what you felt that they were singled out. You felt it was a political move. Did you feel it was coming from a place, where because there are negotiations going on, maybe to pacify a little bit? I would hope it wouldn't be an indirect divide and rule kind of situation, because I know others will be upset. And I know, for example, we had teachers who came out, teachers who were working and online. I still call them frontline workers or important people. We had law enforcement. They were physically sort of out there, and public utilities people, to make sure that we continue to have electricity and water, well, some areas at least. So do you think it should have been special? They should have a special place? I mean, of course, I am not saying that anybody is more or less important than the other, but it kind of left out other people, especially at the time during wage negotiations. So I wanted to hear what you thought.
Yeah, I think it was divisive, as my view. While I think they do deserve some form of recognition, the Prime Minister, he always used, without, I think, referencing Barack Obama, when he says we are all in it together. That was Barack Obama responding to John McCain in the Democratic Convention.
Yes.
So, but the Prime Minister has used it, and he has always been saying we are all in this together. And when Barack Obama used that phrase, he was saying to John McCain, you were a superhero military fighter for America. But I'm a professor. I've been working in the streets. I've been working in the slums. I've been lecturing to people, and I've been turning out decent people too that American needs. But you went out there and risked your life and to defend America. And he said, what am
Yeah.
I saying, John? We are all in this together.
This
You
together.
played your part, I am playing my part. So what you did is not superior to what I've done. That was Barack Obama's argument. And if I apply that here, I can't single out the nurses and say that, you know, they did more than the people who also supported them and protected them, the security by the health institution, who had to
Cleaners.
close and clean the place, the cleaners, police officers who outside there trying to maintain control, they getting COVID. How many, I think more police officers died from COVID than nurses. Not so.
Yeah.
So then how you could say that they were straight in, I mean, they were right up there, no one could deny that, but others were in their own way too. So that, yes, we all played our part. When the backup teachers had to deal with children and run the same risk and teachers would, nurses, they could have been exposed. And, you know, dealing with children, they wouldn't be as careful as you would like. They have on the mask, they take it, they talk, then they
the nose always running.
There's all kind of things in
Hugging you up.
They're hugging you up too, and it's a child, they don't want to push them off. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And how much control they have. They want to sneeze, them with a mask and sneeze right
there.
And the
taking their clothes, wiping their nose.
And you know, so to single one group out, I don't want to say anything for it to come across as though you're minimizing their effort.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
They were heroes too, and they did their part. Because naturally we'd have needed someone to administer that medical care to us in the health institutions. And they were there, they did it. Some of them got sick, a few of them died. I don't think as many as police officers, but that was the situation. And I think he's singling out nurses. I don't know if he included doctors, but doctors played a role to another.
I was going to say that as well, yeah.
And all played because people are going into the pharmacies and even, you understand what I'm saying? It's a whole big thing, and the problem he has created now is that this is going to be a precedent because others would feel if he could single them out, they can make a case why they should be also singled out to be treated. But I just want to add by saying, since he has singled out the nurses, fine. I saw the lead of the I think is AD Stewart or something.
Yeah, AD, yeah.
I hope he said it's not no $500 thing because they're accustomed to that kind of nonsensical thing. I hope each nurse will get nothing less than $9,000 for that period. If you can't pay them that, I want to say to the nurses, don't look at that as any, because if you believe they were out front and up front and they risk their lives more than others, then you want to tell me the compensation you have in mind for that is $500 or less? If that is the case, those nurses should tell them take that money and go and buy super, or forget that.
But I don't know how much because it appears that it's going to come during the budget. That sometimes our hopes aren't going up, you know, too much. But of course, what Eddie was saying also is that, you know, that's not enough. What we want is the payment of gratuities and the increments. Exactly. And this is what I think leaders need to be careful when they're making promises or throwing things out. Because you open what can be described as the floodgates and all sort of other problems start coming in unless you're going to do something across the board and say, well, it can't be as much because we're trying to make sure everybody gets a piece of what they deserve. It leads to more, like you said, division. And when the actual discussion comes together of how about pay and pay rises, I hope the unions still stick together. And I say that as somebody whose father was a trade union leader. I know how easy it is for us to like pick, they pick at one part and then everything, well, what happens? Well, we get in something. If we say something, we mightn't get anything else or this, and then everything falls apart. So I hope that they still, stick together and could together as a unit come to some kind of agreement where they all agree, and then they could move forward. I just hope so. I hope so. Again, I say, and I'm going to say this on behalf of you as well, Rich, we are not saying that nurses do not deserve it. I think we need to make that clear, because people could take things that we say and run. It's not that they don't deserve it. I have family who are nurses, and I know what they were doing. I know the risk they were putting their own families at when they came home. And like I say, but it is something that we have to be careful. Leaders have to be careful how they address. And of course, one of the things I'd like to hear as a citizen is that whatever special payment for those who died, I hope their families would get it.
Yeah.
Because in a strange way, Rich, some of those people probably need it a little bit more, because sometimes it was the only breadwinner, or even if it was a mom or a dad, or, there's a whole extra amount of money per month you're not getting. So I hope in doing that, we'd be able to say that those who had passed through COVID within the nursing community, if that's what we're dealing with, will also be able to access the money and get it. I don't know what you feel about that.
Well, I think you're right. I think on that point, in terms of they may be the people who need it the most, people who lost a loved one, and I could identify with that based on what I know about with some other people. And it could have been a breadwinner for a family. Mm-hmm. And, that's a double loss, because the breadwinner is gone, plus the loved one is gone. So now you had to try to, control your feelings over two issues: the loss of a loved one and then the loss of the income. It's two different flows all at the same time. And I would hope that they are considered still in this payment.
I hope so. I hope so.
And I think you're very right, and I think that would be really meaningful. I wouldn't be surprised if they have not yet thought of that. But listen to this show. You might have just
so.
Them.
Oh, I hope so.
That is something they have to look into, because they tend to look at issues or topics that they could use that would be touching to give them some lift, because they need a lot. It's a lot they need, I can tell you. They're in a deep hole.
I know how you feel.
If they had figured that out, I believe they'd jump out on that already and say, on the same platform, he might have said, and this includes those who passed. You understand what I'm saying? And their families.
But it would be nice if we tell them something and they listen. That'd be nice.
Look out for it on the platform. It will come. I am telling you, that wouldn't escape them. They're going to bring it. But it's a sad thing. They wouldn't even say, while listening to the show, they heard political leader Mickela said this, and we felt it was a good idea. We looked at it and look, we are going to implement it and so on. The next thing that is sad about this whole thing, Mickela, is that the timing of this payment that you're looking at, right at the beginning of an election period, you're coming with this. You ask if it's political and so on from the onset. And again, if we had doubts, the fact that it is just before another election, that could erase any doubts from anyone's mind. Because you can't tell me yesterday you came to the realization that nurses were in the firing line all the time. You couldn't do that yesterday or 2 days ago. If you really believe that, you'd have had to have that feeling for at least a year, 2 years, when you saw the risk nurses were taking. And you could have made that promise a year or two ago, that we are going to make a provision for nurses in this budget or the next budget or when we come out of this. So I want you all to know what you are doing, the risk you're taking with your life to save other people's lives. It is not going unnoticed. So that we are working on a package for you and so on and so on. You could have said that a long time. But all of a sudden, you get wise and knowledgeable just before an election. So you now want to throw this out and believe that people are going to think that you're genuine and you're sincere and, look at how we consider it. So I think, as you said, you hope the unions stick together. That's a major problem. I hope so too. I want to say to the unions, you all were brutalized between 2015 and now, especially with that refinery thing down the road. The trade union almost died. You all have a second opportunity now where it look like people coming back out with you all and so on. You don't want to mess this up. So you can't get for one group and you're gone and he leaves the others. You all have to work together. It must be a united force all the time. That is the front you need to project and demonstrate at all times. Even if you get your part and you think it's good, take it, but get your members to come out to support the others and have the numbers.
That's what I like.
Yeah. Don't get yours and go home, because another time will come when somebody else will get and want to go home, but you don't want them to do that because you ain't got yours yet. Go back out with them, stay the course, and continue fighting.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think they should stay together. And on the other issue that we raised, I hope that it is meaningful, the compensation. Said that already, and also what you raised in relation to those who have passed. The families are considered, and I think the government will take that for sure. When you're out of ideas mix. I'm telling you something. I don't want everybody to hear. This government have very little ideas. I mean, I think they completely, the little they had, they use them so often that, they're still trying to find new ways to rejuvenate the same old ideas and represent the arguments of the same things, but in slightly different ways. The same things they're saying. They're saying the same things, they're just finding new ways to say the same things. They're out of ideas.
But the country feels saturated, how to explain it? Okay, when we're in school, they teach us saturation. So they say you take a glass and you start to add salt. And you mix and mix and mix and mix and mix. It dissolves, and then it gets to a point where the salt doesn't dissolve anymore, and that's what you call saturation.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel the country has reached, with promises and hearing the same thing over and over and over. A place of saturation. So it's not dissolving anymore. It's not absorbing anymore. It's not doing what leaders feel it's supposed to be doing. It's just reached. We could have always taken a little bit more, and now that's how it feels. It reached a point of saturation.
People just not prepared to listen anymore. Look at this. They're going to spend $7.5 million for Independence Day celebration. Now, to most people, it's not much money, but given the roads and other problems, people would view it as plenty of money. But people, they thought it would trigger a big talking point throughout the country, because they wanted, that is that they used that to market it, positive or negative people. A few people raised it, but then they back away from it quite quickly, as though they didn't even take them on. You know what they've done now? They're bringing in Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, to come here for the celebrations. So now pay attention, and they're not going to try to market this whole thing around the coming, as though while it's a leader and we would embrace him and so on, but they will try to oversell it to try to get people to become interested in the celebrations. The reason they are going to do that and peddle it is that no one is really taking them on. I mean, no one, and I'm saying that to mean absolutely no one. But in terms of the reaction they would want, and some people would look, and some people go out and observe because it's a moment to go out, an occasion, and
right.
I mean, and they would, but
and take your kids out, or
they would. Some people go, but they're not looking at it as meaningfully as they used to in the past, and they know it, and that's why they have to bring in Holness to add some lift to it. So I mean, when you have to go that far, it's a shameful thing. It's very distasteful.
But even if you use this money, it's not a magic pill that's gonna. Even if we did embrace it, we're not gonna forget when we wake up the morning after. We're still gonna be in the same problems.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a temporary fix. Take a drug, have a little bit of euphoria, and then you realize, well, that was a waste of time, because guess what? We're in the same position we were in 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I love patriotism, and I love the fact of being able to come together because the country is so divided, and to celebrate. But you can't be angry with people for feeling there's nothing to celebrate. We're coming out of a pandemic. People have lost their jobs. People don't have food to eat. People don't see a future. People don't have water. People don't have the problems with the roads and the crime and this. All of these things I don't feel that people are in a celebrating mood. And I'm sorry, $7 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And that can be done, not in the spectrum of where they're talking about 200 million and things. Well, in that comparison, well, no, but 7 million is a lot. We have 1.2 million people in our country. So you look at what $7 million is, put it into perspective, that's a lot of money to spend. And when I see even the councillors spending things on the ribbons and putting up all these signs, courtesy of councillor so-and-so and so, the one that lives there by me, and I'm like, do you really think that's important? Do you really think I need to see those lights and those? I don't feel to see it because I'm worried and I'm scared about crime, about job loss, about everything falling apart. And that is what they feel that we would forget because we're a party nation or we like to lie, that we'll forget. But I don't think that's selling. And I think you're right. Probably that is why the Honorable Prime Minister from Jamaica has to come. But I don't think that, with all due respect to him, is going to affect anybody in Trinidad and Tobago. Jamaica again is business in order, you know.
Yeah.
Jamaica again is business in order, you know. I've been following them and looking at different things of how the government is now working with different private enterprise and looking at the different kinds of things they're trying. Jamaica's doing their thing. We need to look after our business.
The Caribbean has 4 MDCs, what they refer to as more developed countries. Yeah. Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad, and Tobago. We could be viewed possibly, easily, as the worst performing MDC right now.
But right the richest.
Yeah. But in terms of performance and having money in circulation and having the ordinary man participate in the economic activities of the country, it's not there. The economy is flat. From 2015 to now, nothing meaningful has happened in the economy. When they talk about increase in GDP, is only because of inflation. It's the same level of production or less, but it's just because the price went up. It conveys an incorrect picture that could cause people to believe production has increased, and as a result, it is not. It may be less goods, but the more price, higher price, and as a result, it's looking like that's what's taking place. But we're actually producing less. A lot of
producing less,
struggling to reopen, and
of course, we're producing less, but it doesn't matter. Numbers don't matter to people. 0.5% of so and so and so and 600%. Nobody cares about that. Do you feel it? That's how the average person.
They don't
look at it.
And then you have to stop and ask them.
I'm not what feeling it.
Feeling? Right. And what you're feeling instead? I saw you feeling
pain, suffering, fear.
Yes.
You know,
I feel those things too. That is what that is what is in existence for one to feel. That is what is being communicated to you. An injection of fear, home invasions, police posing as fake police, posing as real police, and coming in your house and robbing you, you opening your door, telling yourself these are the legal guys, the law enforcement agency. So you want to know they come here if you can help me, and then they want to hit you, big kick in your face and tie you up and steal what you have. That's where we reach. That's where we reach. Yeah, so and you people would want to say we are any better off. Anyone who could say that had to be drinking something. And to quote Dr. Rowley and whatever, tell me what it is they're drinking so I'll know what not to buy. Because they had to be crazy. Yeah.
It's true. You know, I was going to talk to us, and I know we have a few minutes, but my friend hasn't come on yet, this lovely young girl. Daddy Mark, I just wanted to do this. I have to do this road thing with Rich before. You have the clip with what the PM said about the roads?
Yes, I do.
Can you play it first, please?
Yes. Here goes.
Daddy Mark,
from anybody who tell me we can't do that. We are going to do it because we can afford it. And it is not to say that we do not recognize what other people have done. But those who walk the extra mile and had the extra exposure, it is on that basis alone. And they rose to the occasion. Our health service in a pandemic, the pandemic of 2020, 2021, our health service was there for all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And we must be a grateful people. I expect to hear objections to that, you know. And me too. Yeah, I expect to hear that. But all I will say is I hear you, I understand you, but you were not there doing what they had done.
There's also one on the roads. You want to get that one?
The one on the roads, please. Yeah. Thank you.
And we are and will do better, focusing on our road improvement now. Only recently, Cabinet approved the formation of a road repair company, specifically in the Ministry of Local Government. That company is being operationalized now. A board has been appointed. The Minister of Finance will make the money available. We are going to mobilize the contractors, small, medium, and whatever, and we are going to go out there and begin to reinstate our roads. Our roads will not remain substandard forever.
Okay, so that was important to me when I was listening, and I asked a couple of people what they thought about it, because it's nice, people from different political areas and things, and some people were of the vision, of the opinion. Sorry, forgive me. Yeah, that could very well be true. The Prime Minister had other financial obligations and things like that. And I asked other people and they said, well, listen, so I said, well, they were good before. And they said, well, they weren't good, but they were never sort of this bad and that kind of thing. And I have, my opinion on that. But again, Rich, since we have our little formula about there was no money, and he more or less repeated what Rohan Sinanan was saying, I felt a little bit of hope when he said, well, we're in a better financial position. That's the most that I've gotten. That was something sort of positive. And then they've now set up this committee, and then they're going to get the contractors and start. But there was so much missing in that statement. Again, I like to be careful, not just as a political leader, but I like to be careful as a citizen, because I don't know what the finances of the government looks like. And for sure, they had expenditure that they would not have assumed or been able to predict. But to not fix one road at all, right? At all, Rich. I see I have my girl, Jen there. Jen, you could just hold on with us for a little while. You could join us. I welcome you. We're just discussing this one issue about the roads, because we're going on to discuss the water with you after. Rich, what was your view on that statement?
Well, you had to forgive me, Some people might feel it is, come down kind of heavy on the PM sometime. And I mean this respectfully, but it was a full-blown silly expression. It was a silly statement, and that's not even my style to talk like that. Because we had a backup in that same piece that Daddy Mac ran, where he spoke about, they had to save people's lives. Because
yes.
that's what preceded that. I remember the speech. So he said that they had, in other words, two choices: fix road or save people's lives.
And I feel that was a bit extreme.
Yeah, they had to use the money to save people's lives, and now that we kind of got past that, they will now get money, and we have some money, and we start to fix roads. The roads wouldn't stay this way forever. They're going to fix the road. Let me ask you something, Mickela. He saved your life? He saved your life? I would tell her he did not save mine.
He did not save my life.
I want to tell you, I listen to MSNBC, I listen to Fox, I listen to CNN, and if anybody saved my life, was the leadership I got from those people, and Fauci and others telling you what to do and how to conduct yourself. Because they told me wear a mask long time when the minister here was saying, no, a mask, you can't get it from mask, and everybody is saying, until they realize right now the world go on mask, they come back and say, no, buy mask. Buy the mask. They saved my life. They contributed to killing more people than they know about and they are prepared to admit to. So they didn't save my life. But I do believe, though, their measures would have resulted in saving some people's lives. Now, those persons' lives that they may have saved, you can't tell me that all the money we had available to us
was simply on that. Yeah.
And you couldn't tell me you couldn't have enough money. This country, this hydrocarbon base country. That's what our
Correct.
economy is based on. You can't tell me because you have to bring in some vaccines and give guidance and put some people in some homes, a few hundreds, because it was never really thousands at any given time, a few hundreds here
That
and there.
all the money went on
Yeah,
that.
you want to tell me only money left? I mean, come on, I had to say to the Prime Minister, who you really talking to? Who you really talking to? Yeah.
But Rich, when I asked different people and other people, like I said to other people, said that's absolute nonsense. But I think what the statement was doing was one thing. It was playing on an emotional situation, you know,
Yeah.
for those people. Because I mean, if it's a choice of the road or your life, listen, the comparison was to me was extreme. But sometimes politicians do that to hammer home a point that in itself it may be a little bit weak. It really, I feel it may not have resonated with everybody. That lives had to be saved. I know there was a parallel healthcare system. I know many of the vaccines were free. I know they're going to say that they were giving social grants to a certain number of people. What I would like, again, because I like to be fair, is to really have seen what those numbers were and how much is it going to cost to fix our roads, because some kind of assessment must have been done. How much did it actually cost to save lives? And I would have liked to hear a little bit more about what local government was doing in their role. But in saying so, Rich, because we've got our girl here, Miss...
Well, let me just say this, Mix.
Yeah.
It's easier to generalize. That's what they would do and use indefinite expressions because they know nobody can measure it now. So saying they save lives and now they have money to fix road without telling you what is the true cost, how much they spend to save lives. Just throw that out the window. But people would just the takeaway, and they look for newspaper too, when they talk that type of nonsensical stuff. They're hoping to see in the papers next day. Prime Minister said we couldn't fix road because we had to save lives. And
yes. And I mean, if it, I would like to ask, so, and which leads us into our next guest as well. I would like to ask, does it really therefore mean that for 2 years nothing else was done besides saving lives? It has
no,
to
they have
be.
to be confessing that because
then nothing else was done, which is why we're where we're in.
Yeah. I know you have your guests.
Yes, they're on with us. Good evening. And you can unmute.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, good day.
Hi, Richard.
And
hello.
Our listeners, this is Miss Janelle Phillips.
Yes.
And she's a lovely, lovely young lady. And she reached out to me, and we've been having little conversations about things that's, sort of going on. And I felt, as I was saying to you earlier, Rich, it's always nice, instead of bringing the same politicians or people on to say something, to give other people who wouldn't necessarily have a voice to explain what's happening in their area. And this is a very serious thing because there are lots of the elderly people and so many people have been affected. So I'm going to just basically say welcome. Janelle, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. As I've said to you, there are not many people who are willing to come and air their views and tell us what's going on out there. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being with us. And she's from Point Fortin. She's just going to explain to our viewers, what the issue and what's been going on down there.
Okay, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the air. So I'm just going to give you a little history of the area. So this is not the situation I'm speaking about. It's just a small area in Clifton Hill in Point Fortin. I know there probably are other areas in Point Fortin that probably faced with the same issue, but I just know about my issue in my area where I live. So Clifton Hill, I'll give you a little history about Clifton Hill. Clifton Hill is a privately owned area actually by Petrotrin, which is probably under now Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited. Originally, the water was supplied by Petrotrin, Trinidad Shell in those days. But maybe over 10 years ago, they turned the water system, just like they turned the electrical system, over to our governing bodies. So WASA is now in charge of the water for Clifton Hill. They managed to change a good bit of the old pipes. But in this particular area, which has about 8 households, they did not change the pipes. So these residents here are, if they are getting water, they are getting the dirty brown water. So they're buying filters every week and to get some level of decent water. But in the last 4 months, they have had no water. They have numerous leaks, and we report them to WASA. I cannot complain about WASA workmen in Point Fortin. They have really come out for us and helped us out in any way they can. They would come, they would fix an area. We would probably get water for 2 days. 2 days of water might be barely any pressure. And by that, after 2 days, no more water because a leak somewhere else. So after numerous times, they just said to us, there's nothing to do but change the pipes. You know, there was even one occasion a couple of weeks ago where we, they thought it was the actual solution to the problem. They say, well, maybe this will really help and stuff like that. They couldn't get a backhoe that they had to get a backhoe, but the backhoe needed to be the smaller backhoe because of the area that it needed to fit into. And we went to our representatives and we got no response from them. So eventually one of the residents footed the bill for the small backhoe, which was $1,800. And in the last 4 months, other residents have actually footed the bill to get some pipes or something because WASA didn't have the resources to do it. And in order for them to get some level of water, they said, okay, well, I will pay for the piping or whatever. So now we're at a situation where they're telling us the only thing we could do is change the pipes. So we, the residents, we have reached out to the MP, our mayor, our local area councillor, no response. Not that they didn't know that the situation was going on, you know, but this is the final part. And what we're saying to them is that it's going to cost, there's a cost of $7,000 to get the pipes done. This is just the material. The younger men in the street are willing to offer their services to run the pipe. And so the $7,000, the neighbors have actually decided to put up the money to get the pipes so that they could have water. And the reason that it's so costly is because they could run a shorter length and just get water, but then it will just mean more leaks and it'll be more brown water. So to fix the problem, this is what is going to happen, you know? And we're reaching out to our representatives. I mean, on one occasion, I reached out to one of the representatives. I didn't get to speak to them in particular, but I spoke to their assistant. And she's saying to me, well, why don't you call this one? And why don't you call that? And I said, but we are asking the people who we voted in to represent us so that we could at least have the normal basic human needs. I shouldn't have to be calling other places if I call them and inform them what is the situation. And the thing about it is that in this particular area, it's about 8 households. 80% are senior citizens living on pensions. And they're willing to take out of their money $1,000 each so that they could have water.
All right, so you are after, well, let me allow Mix to go first.
No, please, Richie, please, because we've been speaking for the last week and I know you might need a little bit more clarification. So please, Richie, please go ahead.
So you are saying what you're really asking for is the intervention of the MP or something like that.
Well, he already knows the situation and he hasn't even responded.
Okay. So
you know?
If you're not interested at this time, which I guess it still would be, even if he comes in late, in the MP or the councillors, because you want to solve the problem.
Yeah.
what you would really want to have done now? Someone to come in and assist in what way?
I would like for the residents to not have to foot this bill at all, and for the pipes to be changed completely from the pump house to the main that feeds all the households, you know, and for the residents to have a proper supply of water, you know, without having to call the fire truck or the borough to get water in order to just do basic stuff.
This is a housing development?
No, Clifton Hill was actually, these are houses that were built for the senior managers well, it would have been Shell in those days. So, you know, it went from Shell to Trentop to Petrotrin, you know. And there's something I'll tell you all after about that, this whole situation that is funny too. So it was built for the senior managers. So, you know, over the years, it has not been upkept. So the houses that are here currently are actually houses that were bought. A lot of the Petrotrin homes have been torn down because they weren't used or anything like that. So in this particular area, it's just really privately owned homes that are currently here right now that have residents in them.
Okay. You said earlier on that the water would come and then it will disappear for 2 or 3 days. Two things. When it comes, how long it lasts for? And when
no, that's what I said. It comes for like 2 days for the most. And then afterwards, no water. So then we have to send, you know, next report to WASA. And then we would have to wait for them to come back again.
So on average, it comes like twice for the week.
It doesn't come at all. It's only if we get them to come and fix it. But we don't get water. They don't get water at all. They're not getting.
No, what's happening, Rich? They used to get the 2 days. We get it as well. That's not 2 days as in 48 hours. That's a period within 2 days you're getting. But what you're saying is,
it wasn't like that. We had pretty much Clifton Hill this part of Clifton Hill. Clifton Hill really gets a good supply of water because I live on the other side of Clifton Hill and we get water all the time.
So they used to get for 48, so 2 times a week and then nothing.
No, the 2 times. No, the 2 times. What I'm saying is that this area hasn't gotten any water. So if we call and we say, okay, well, we would see the leaks because, you know, you're seeing the water running on the road, you know. So we would call, they would come, they would fix. The fixture would last for about 2 days, if so much.
Oh,
and then when, you know, then as time goes by, another leak pops up. So this is what happened. If not, the same leak comes right back because it's the old pipes from way back when.
So Janelle, we haven't had for 4 months. There was none though. None. That's it. That's the point, which is why you had reached out to me.
And thanks to you, Mix, I think you were able to assist in getting the real point out and now understand it. So water is not the problem per se. It's the age of the lines.
Yes.
So that as soon as they fix somewhere, that part is now new because the rest of the pipes may be very old. The pressures, you know, pressure will burst pipe this way.
Exactly.
So the next most weak part of the line will give way.
Gone.
Exactly.
And therefore another leak will, and then it takes a long while before they come. So in other words, you're saying a fix, when they fix it, it might last for 2 days.
Exactly.
And then that I understand what you're saying. So we really want us to get the new lines in.
Yes.
And someone has already volunteered to put up money, and you have the view that should not have been done.
No, it should not. No, it should not.
But I would want to recommend, for your own sake and the importance of water, take the pipe, get the thing fixed, let the youth men in the area do what they can, and use platforms such as this to call to get your money back for those people.
Now agreed. Now, there's always one thing, and that might be the lawyer in me. And I know that I've spoken to other people, and I've dealt with this, and other people have taken the risk. Don't you think that there should be some kind of undertaking that these boys are given some kind of permission to do this, Rich? You know, WASA says it owns all the water in Trinidad and Tobago and all of this kind of thing, that archaic old act. But, you know, just some sense of protection. Wasa is going to lay the underlying pipes. I think what all the boys are going to do is overhead. But it reminded me of a couple of weeks ago when we were chatting, and they told them to go and get your own asphalt and fix the road.
Yeah.
So we have to fix the road, get our own water, lay our own pipe. I mean, we can do this. We can run this.
And they're still charging your Wasa bill. The bill
That's the issue I wanted to bring up. Because I said to Chanel, I said, you know, tell me something, especially when I heard this elderly people. And I said, tell me something, you know, are you still paying your Wasa bill? Are you going to get some kind of credit on the bill? And she says to me, you know, it's so ironic. They receive bills the same day or something.
Yeah. And they would expect that you pay it. Because as Mickela just said, once you get in water in the country, Wasa is the authority.
Yeah.
And however they get, they're saying you have to pay. And that to me is craziness. Because you should pay for quality, for the kind of service you're getting. If you're getting good quality service, you should be paying for that. The service not so good is that they maintain the payment, but insist that they correct the problem in the shortest possible time to make sure, because things will go wrong from time to time. But you can't be in a situation like what's being described now, and they are aware of it, they're not fixing it, and they're still sending you bills. That is, again, a double punishment. You're not getting the water, and on top of that, you have to pay for what you're not receiving. And worse said, when you do receive, you're not even getting it properly. So it's a terrible, but let me tell you what's happening here. I can only tell you from the government strategic side what's happening here. They want people like you to suffer up there too, and everywhere else. And I'll continue to make this statement. Because they want the whole country to believe they don't have resources. And they want to blame the shortage of resources or the absence of it on the administration between 2015 and 2019 to convey to people that they had to go through this long 10-year drought for the government, the turtle government, the slowest government in the history of governance in this country, to solve 2 or 3 little problems. They are saying you had to suffer for 10 years before they could fix it, so that in the 10th year when they have elections again, they could come to tell you, remember we went through for the last 10 years, we now fix it, see, we now fix the thing, only make the mistake and put back that party in office, and so that they could put you through another 10 years like we just came out of. That is old talk. I'm saying it is being done deliberately, and you should tell your community. Use platforms such as this and tell everyone the government could fix this, you should fix this. Get placards, stand up in front your community. You say, Corey, come here. If you all don't fight, who would fight for you all? I mean, you all have political leader mixed down, and she's doing the best she could here. She has brought you onto the show. But you would have to do some stuff too. You also
She's great. She's great. She's great.
Yeah. Who came out for the scrap metal people? I had no idea it had so many scrap metal people, almost half the scrap metal business. I was surprised. I never see so many hands.
I
was like shocked. I have family members in scrap metal and they didn't tell me, because to me that was a huge percentage of the country. But you know what they did? They highlighted the concern to me in they magnified in a meaningful way. Brilliant. It was well done. You all don't have to do that, because Clifton Hill is a small community, but you can still get your message out, magnified. Put it on call-in programs, put it online, show people and ask people if this is fair, and call on the government to fix it. Let them know the governance is horrible. That's what you all are suffering.
What I also think is this: when people stand up and speak for their community, they're going to have a lot of people listening. I know this for a fact, who are going to feel empowered to speak as well, because many people are going through this. You see, Northeast Trinidad don't have water. You see a fella going from Sangre Grande to Valencia to full water. I could tell you in South Trinidad, we haven't gotten for how long. I pray God, we might get something, tonight. It is happening. The management is not there. Nobody's speaking to the people, and that upset me even more. Because you've got a councillor, you've got a mayor, you've got an MP, and talking about their offices here that you can go to, and nobody's speaking to you and telling you anything. So you feel like you've been abandoned, and you feel like you're just there to fend for yourself. And I praise the young fellas who decided, listen, let's come out there and do that. I just don't want them to get in trouble. So I would like, for somebody to say, yes, we're giving you permission to sort of do this. I don't want, candle to cost more than funeral for the poor fellas, but I understand the level of desperation and people are willing to take any kind of risk. And why not? And to say they were waiting for their money at the end of the month to buy pipes from Wassa that Wassa can't afford to buy, that is mad. We are therefore, we're living in a war zone. I mean, what we living in? You have to buy the asphalt, you have to pave the pull the pothole, you have to buy the pipe, you have to get somebody to lay the pipe, you have to... what are we doing? Are we the government? We are not the government.
And the Prime Minister, I think today is somewhere playing a type of a bourgeois role where he's going to talk to people about art and how to look through art to address the problems in the country and help the country. What he's really doing there, in my opinion, is trying to let people market himself as a person who loves art. And he has the time to sit down and admire and relate it. It's a sort of a indirect way of telling people about yourself. What Prime Minister, have time to waste to go and tell people about?
Well, that's what
tell people about Pan After and Casa and Soca. You understand what I'm saying? Sit down and have all these different types of conversation. Because how many students go towards art? That must be the smallest industry in the country. Probably doesn't mean that it doesn't have money. It might be $1 billion industry, but it's a small amount of people who you find take time to go through painting and bring what they have in their mind out on some piece of canvas or something. But you wanted to waste, I don't want to call it wasting time, but to misutilize the time you have when it could be dealing with a problem like this, talking to your ministers and doing what the people elected you to do, which is to help the majority. Let me tell you something. The rich people in this country don't need a prime minister to tell them what to do, That's why they're rich. So a prime minister is neither elected by the rich. A prime minister is elected by the average man and the poor. So when you
needs help,
priority, of course, they come out and wear jerseys and walk with flag because they see you as a new hope. They want to get you in with the hope that you would turn around after being in there and do something to improve their state of life, their situation, enhance the quality of their lives by reducing the cost of living and that type of thing. That is what they expect. But there you go on to talk about art and painting and all type of nonsense. And then here you are talking about one of the basic needs.
Necessities of life.
That we're supposed to be receiving. You're not supposed to talk water. You should be here talking about employment or promotion or more opportunities. Imagine, this is something most countries gone past already, Water can't
be exactly.
Shame on this government.
One of the things I have also realized, there seems to be a trend, depending on, I see it interchangeably, depending on, it doesn't matter who's in government, that safe constituencies or so-called safe constituencies seem to be treated the worst. I don't know if you've experienced this, Rich, but I'm telling you about people who have reached out over years and from when I was much younger as well, safe constituencies or perceived safe constituencies are taken for granted. So what are these small group of pensioners going to matter in the big spectrum of things if they don't vote? Because we're sailing home, right? It happens in some of the opposition constituencies as well that are safe, what we call safe seats. Because those people are the people who are taken for granted. And I say what is evidenced. What is evidenced by that is, wait for something to happen in one of the marginals. Every single minister, every single opposition person is down in this marginal. We can't give out enough stove and fridge and everything in one of the marginal constituencies if there is floods, if there is that. Those five or six constituencies mean everything. But the people who support you, your foot soldiers, the people who are giving you their support over and over and over again, are taken for granted. And one day, both those parties will get a shock of their life.
Yeah. They're the ones taken for granted, Mix. 100%. They're going to election counting already, you know. Well, we had our one from the time the park candidate win already. Yeah.
There's what we need. So if we get this to cabinet, then or Pulsiparia, so yeah, your Forest Spain West, Forest Spain South, so they go matter that they don't count. East and West, that's done already. And then when governance comes, those people's lives don't improve. Those people don't say, having had my party in government, things change.
They are voter banks and just holding
That's all that they are.
That's all. As they get the victory, all they look at is the new member of parliament, and he's the one that government because he had to, or she, they had to be a part of the number to constitute the government. So that the only one is important now, you know, they're concerned about, but who he or she represents, forget that. Yeah. They, however they hang the swing, they're going to make
and that's not fair.
It isn't, because to me, like the best place to live today, we wouldn't have problems like that your colleague here, that she has presented here today. If you don't want to have those problems, you're right, Mix, live in a marginal constituency.
Live in a marginal constituency.
This problem could go on for more than one day. Because the government would have been there, the opposition would have been there, all the councils would have been there.
Think, people.
Yeah.
Think. I see it. I watch. I see it. I watch. It would have never gone on.
Never.
They would have gone in there. When there is flooding, when there's this, you just look at those constituencies and see the response. And then look at the safe constituencies and look how people are treated. I have seen MPs leave their constituency where people suffering to reach in somebody else's constituency to talk about the problems going on there because it is seen as an important seat. That's sick.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm happy, you know, Janelle will be, you know, she's come out and she's speaking because like I say, what she is saying, I pray will help her community, but I hope it will also other people will be listening saying, you know, that's true. You know, that's true. That's happening to me as well. And speak out. Because we were chatting and I said, why does it have to be you have to name and shame before things are done? You have to name and shame before anybody gets anything done. Your MP not doing anything. Your local council not doing anything. Local government election is coming up, but you'll see him then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Just like you would hear all the whole host of niceties around now heading into the local elections. You'd hear everything suddenly, there'll be no problem. The Prime Minister started already, you know. He's saying they have money now. They're going to fix the road. They have money now, you know, just before the elections. All the time, they're telling they have no resources, things not good. You know, things will be repaired based on the availability of resources. Well, I like what you did today, ma'am. You should do it again. You shouldn't have to, but you came to speak out today. I think you did a fantastic job. You represented the community quite well, and I hope you continue to go from a media house to media house. Unite the youngsters in the community. Let them call in the media, make noise. If you don't want to burn tires, don't burn tires. But I'm not encouraging all to burn tires. But sometimes people tend to
we only have little old ladies. We only have little old ladies in the neighborhood, so they can't lift any tires to burn. But you know, I just wanted to
speak for them.
I just wanted to add one thing to this whole situation, which is just really ridiculous too. So the neighbors are going to put up this $7,000, and they're going to go ahead whether or not the government does anything because they have to get water, you know. But in this whole area right here, there is a house that is owned by Petrotron Holdings that is occupied by a customs officer. So you know all these people who are on their pensions are going to pay so that at least the customs officer will have water too. Isn't that just wonderful?
Yeah. Right?
Right?
It's very interesting.
And this is and don't even try to get through to Petrotrin, Trinidad Petrotrin Holdings or Heritage. We have had so many issues since Petrotrin has closed down in this area. Simple thing, they closed down and they stopped garbage collection because it's a private area, so they was responsible for garbage collection. For 3 weeks, we had no garbage collection. We were taking our garbage down to places where they had public bins so that we could put our garbage in. Eventually, the Borough Corporation, the CEO had given us some help, and they gave us 2 days of garbage collection.
Okay.
Tell me something, Janelle. Let me intervene here. I'm from Lebre.
Okay.
I know the area very well. Now
Right.
I've been seeing the degradation of that area. It's a real nice, pristine area. In case Mickela and Richard doesn't know.
We
Tell me
know.
something. Does this water problem affect the Clifton Hill Beach Resort? Or
No.
Is that the area you're talking about?
No.
There's
No.
also an area where they housing the fire service.
No. No, those areas are good. This is just the last area, which is the area where right behind the tank farm. Sometimes you don't even know the street exists.
Now I understand why you guys don't have no water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand why they're not taking you on. I passed through there on several occasions. I had my grandson going to school there. I took him there. And I was appalled to see the state of Clifton Hill.
Listen, right now, we have drains that are not being cleaned. We have mosquitoes so bad right now. It's not funny. We have mosquito during the day. Right? We have drains that are just backed up because what our main drain for this area is through the Petrotrin tank farm.
Yeah.
Because they are not maintaining that drain, the water is backed up. So let's say our rainy season is going to end in December. You see the kind of rain we have now?
Yeah.
You know what is saving us? That we're on a hill.
I know.
We're on a
Yes.
hill. Right? So, and they have not turned over. I mean, you're giving up the area. Turn over the villages and the roads to the borough.
That's right.
Do it. We shouldn't have to come to you all to ask you all to do it. We shouldn't have to have a petition. You know, they just don't care. And you can't get through to anybody in Heritage. Okay, that is just the most impossible thing. And then when you reach out to the MP and you're saying, listen, so and so and so, he was like, as you said, Richard, before elections, oh my God, he was like, yes, I'm going to be here for you all. I've been talking to them. And afterwards, you know, I sent him messages. I tried calling him. He never responded. Never responded.
It shows the preference that the government shows towards a certain sect of the people, no matter what part of the country you are. Because I know Clifton Hill very well. The entire area was well kept back in the days of Shell, even in the days of Trintok, and even in the days of Petrotrin.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so to watch that place deteriorate like that, there has to be preferences. Because the area I asked you about, I know why I asked you about that.
Yeah.
You see the borough corporation, trucks, everything, everybody, they're busy down on that side. And I have noticed, because if you know the area good and you decide, well, you see me, I coming through Mahaikan or canting to go inside there, you will understand the whole situation. Because when you get to that western side, those kind of problems would never exist. Why? Why the partitioning in an area like that the government should be beating up the chest and feeling proud to upkeep?
Well, they don't care about us because if we have 50 lived-in homes right now, it's a lot. So we are such a small community, and most of the people are elderly.
Yeah.
So what is our voting power?
The method, I think, there is to get rid of you guys, you know, babes.
I
Would
might
you be
be
surprised? Would
I'm
not
not
be
afraid to
surprised.
say that at all, because I see it.
Yes.
I see it all the time. And they could do things in a way that will frustrate you out of the area. And then the West will come more east. And the kind of people that they want to be there will be there. And you will have none of those problems.
They'll
And
fix
that's
it overnight. They'll fix it
exactly
overnight.
what we realize.
Yeah.
That's
I didn't
exactly
know
what
that
we realize.
part was at play. But if that part is at play, then Daddy Mac is right. It might be more intentional in terms of what is happening now than anything else.
It's a beautiful area, you know, Richard. It's a
Well, there
really
you go.
beautiful area.
What they want is
Sometimes I pass there just to see and to feel that freshness in the air and all of that. It's totally different. You know, and the people, they are elderly people, and that area is real red zone, you know. From Point Fountain to Labre, red like that. You understand? And it hurts me to see that they treat the elderly people.
That's the part it's too much for me.
It's not easy to swallow.
Yeah, because I mean, what happened is that some of the elderly folks around here, including my household, we have younger people living here. So what the guys did was they put up the gutter in so that they could have rainwater tanks. So they get water. That's how we get water, rainwater. But there's one particular elderly couple. They don't have any kids living with them. They're on their minimum pension. So for the last 4 months, the water has come from the fire station. I mean, the fire guys have been great. When they call and the thing about it, in this household, one of the elderly people, he is ill. So his money doesn't just go into nothing. It has to go into his medical supplies.
That's right.
And this is what we're going through. And the thing about it is that this is a small community. Point Fortin is a small community. People know each other. We all know what's going on in each other's lives. Normal Trini thing, small village thing. You know what I mean? You can't tell me that our representatives don't know what's going on. They don't know about this elderly couple. Don't tell me that they don't know. That is such a lie.
They frequent the beach facilities and all the different fancy places they have on the western side. So they must know what's going on the eastern side.
Exactly. And it's like, there's no water on the street, and you have a residence on the other side of the street, and you're willing to have your big fancy borrow day party for all your fellow government members, and this street right here, the people can't even get water.
Imagine, that's wrong. Imagine if you're a granny, Rich, if you were sitting there, just imagine, right? We are there and we don't have water. We have this, we're sitting on granny, grandpa, kind of thing. And you're sitting there, music blasting, Range Rover coming through, this, that, whatever. And you sit down there and watch that. My God, what you must feel. But the people doing it, how cruel. How, something? I could not blank that off my head. I couldn't put on goggles and just sort of watch one way and ignore those people, especially if I know what's happening. How could I sit and eat and drink and have a good time and flush toilet and wash wares and I mean, come on. No. And older people.
Yeah,
older people. Out of these 7 households, 5 are elderly.
Oh.
And the thing that bothers me there, that you said a big time custom officer is enjoying.
Yeah.
Well, the customs officer don't get water either, but
what I'm saying, if you guys fix it, the customs officer's salary, customs officer's salary could probably pay the pension of people.
Heritage didn't have to give their $1,000, but they're gonna get water.
You see what I mean? That's unfair.
Nice clean water and everything, and so when the customs officer comes down for the weekend and has their for their 3 months or whatever, and they have their time with whoever they invite and everything off of the neighbors' backs.
Yes. Very unfair.
Very, very unfair.
Custom officer should share some of his salary with the people there who are pensioners, because his salary can probably foot the 7 people pensioned.
Right.
I know they are very good in it, and I understand your pain, because
I'm so glad that there's somebody here who's backing me up, because people out of the area might believe it.
Yes, because I have brought a lot of stories here already.
Daddy Mac is familiar with the place. We don't have that.
Yes.
Yeah, you all don't have that. Yeah, that
That's,
knowledge.
that's
Yeah.
right. And it
Yeah.
pains my heart, Janelle, when I go through that area, knowing how it was. There was a time, Rich, to go through there. Is either you have family inside there or you
Yeah.
have some kind of authority to be in there. No?
Yeah.
Right.
You understand? That's
But
the
that's
quality
really-
of life that existed there at the time, you know.
But that's
I
why they want
admire
out. It's
Yeah.
a strategy to get you all out.
I tell
Don't
you,
leave. Yeah. Yeah.
the moment you guys get weak enough and decide, well, you see me, we can't take it no more. Best we go Gonzales or Cochrane or Point Ligu or New Village or Fanny Village or whatever, you're going to see the people who will move in and the difference in service and the quality of service that these people would get to enhance their living in that area. That's a real nice area. Why neglect it? When, like the lady said, like Giles said, a street away, you know, Richard. A street away.
Yeah.
There's been niceness galore, you know, partner.
Hmm.
And these
If
people,
you only move out 3 days after, you're going to see what's down there, the back one, everything, and
I
big
tell
pack.
you,
Yeah.
yes, everything will change.
Yeah.
You see, they're pressuring the vulnerable.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
That-
thank God that you are there, Jen. And I thank God that you're speaking up
Mm-hmm.
and giving these people a voice. And thank God that Daddy Mac knows exactly, so they can say, listen, this is correct, how beautiful it is. And perhaps there is an ulterior motive. But
Yeah.
but to say what's going on there, that is 4 months as an elderly person is a long time. You're not out to work. So
No.
you are at home all the time.
Mhm.
So if current or I don't have water, I going out to work. So when I come home in the evening, whatever, you have to hustle, sort out, you could do it. These are elderly people who are at home
Yes.
all day, 24 hours.
Okay. 24 hours and no
They
water. I
need
tell
it
you.
more.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the area too, although it's within the Point Fountain borough,
Yes.
it's not like hand reaching to the urban part, you know. You know, the Point Fountain shopping area and thing. You can see it, but it's not that close. So I think it's more at a disadvantage for the elderly people to even reach out in an emergency there.
Yeah.
Like let's say Wasa isn't sending water. Well, thank God the fire services, they answer the call all the time. Even in Lebre, they answer the call.
Yeah. They are real. They
And in
have
South
their
as well,
fabulous-
so big enough
Yeah.
the firemen.
Yeah. Fire services.
Yes.
Yeah.
They respond.
Yeah.
You know? Thank God for that. Otherwise, I could just imagine, Janelle, what these elderly people are going through. I don't like that at all. You see, elderly
Me
people, I have
neither.
big respect for them.
Yeah.
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 And I must say that the WASA crews that do come out,
Yeah.
they have really been fabulous to us. Huh?
Mhm.
They have really worked with us as best as they could in their capacities.
Yes.
You know,
They are workers, they're not management.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We get the guys who doing the hard work. You know,
Exactly.
we're not getting the decision makers. The decision makers ain't coming around, and worse again, they're not coming to point.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's
You know, we just get the guys who are out in the field, and I mean, sometimes, you know, we would see them out there. We put in the report, but we pass, and then we see them fixing something else, and we say, oh gosh, Olia, because we know them by name now, huh?
yeah.
And we like, oh gosh, Olia, this thing burst again, or whatever. All right, we'll check on it tomorrow, you know? And knowing that probably not on the course, but they know that we're not buying. You know, so they're coming out to help. Sometimes they tell us, oh God, Olia, we ain't have no backhoe to do nothing. But when
Imagine,
they ain't have no backhoe, we in trouble.
this
But
is
the
borough
corporation
of
don't have a-
Point Fountain.
Exactly,
This is
the
not a
borough.
normal corporation. This is a
Well,
borough.
the borough is the next story too. They having their difficulties too. So sometimes they don't have equipment working either. So we just there, no water. So, but they have been good with giving us some water when the borough truck water, with the water truck for the borough working. We do get water from them sometimes, you know.
They don't want you all to die. They just want to
Yeah, don't die, but I'll give you just enough
Just
that
enough.
you need to
to
survive.
live, and so that you can feel frustrated and leave.
And
Yeah.
or be grateful when you get the little
Yeah.
peppercorn.
And vote for us.
Yeah.
And vote for us
and
because the
vote
others
for
will
us.
do worse.
Yeah.
People had to stand up and call whatever it is what it is. And this is horrible, and you should feel free to express that.
Richard,
Yeah.
I try to explain on many occasions that this
Yeah.
peninsula in Trinidad and Tobago is the richest part of the country.
It is.
Mhm.
We have contributed. Point Fountain together with Lubre. That's all within the Lubre ward, you know. Point
Yeah.
Fountain is part of the Lubre ward. At one time, Lubre was more exciting than Point Fountain, you know. You know, I don't want to think of it. You know,
We
Point
have to hear
Fountain.
that off air. What you think is going on? Daddy Mac.
You know, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. You know, and it's difficult to swallow. Because as a little boy, my grandfather used to teach me a lot and take me along all about the place to tell me about the oil field, everything. And I used to be, it was a mind-blowing thing to go down to Point and watch the refinery and watch this Clifton Hill area and thing. That was a big deal for you back in the day, you know, when that place was it, you know.
David, do you remember when they actually used to cut the grass?
Of course.
Now we are living in a jungle. We
Oh
have
my
so much
God.
money one thing now, eh?
That's good.
We have so much rodents because
Yes, yes.
Petrotrin closed down, Heritage
that's it.
care less.
That's it.
And I mean, even the houses that they had managers and stuff living in, now
Yeah.
these houses are
Same thing up
dilapidated
here.
and
Yes.
rodents are running crazy. So now, I mean, the other day, I think they killed, somebody was telling me that right in front of their house, they killed this extremely large snake,
Yes.
you know? And this is, I mean, it is ridiculous. And they don't care. And I see these days they're cutting the tank farm. You know, they weren't even cutting the tank farm. So in addition to all these empty tanks that's sitting there and rusting, we
Yeah.
have overgrown grass. So, you know, when they cut the grass now, you know, it's more mosquito, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is what we're going through in Clifton Hill. And I mean, nobody cares.
That's
And
difficult.
I told you, we have reached out to Heritage through letters, through trying to have conversations, through everything, through the MP, everybody, and they have not responded. The roads are in such terrible conditions, and they're still responsible for the roads because they have not vested it to the corporation.
So when they closed down Petrotrin, Rich, Daddy Mac,
Yeah.
these people didn't think about all these things.
No.
They didn't
What
care,
is the
Mickela.
responsibility of Petrotrin? The same thing with Caroni. When you closed down Caroni didn't just plant clean. You used to clean the water courses. The
Yes.
same exact thing. We had citrus. We had this. There were so many things. And when you shut it down, do you not think that there will now become a vacuum for these things that used to happen that will not now be happening? So how do we address
How
that?
do we
You know,
address
wake up
that?
one morning and shut it down and say, well, yeah, we're just not refining oil anymore. Then we move on.
No, and they closed it down and they left. That was the last day. I think it was the 28th of February, 3 years ago. And they did not even inform the residents that we will no longer have garbage collection. So we put out our garbage like normal, put
Yeah.
out garbage the next day, no truck. And then we realized that, wait a minute, we are not going to get any garbage collection.
So when it's only natural, if you are going to close down Petrotrin, you should have taken into account all the things as Mickela was saying, currently
Yeah.
1975 Limited.
Services?
Water courses, so they maintain the place.
Yeah.
So if they know they're going to close down Petrotrin, they ought to have known that the maintenance work that Petrotrin was doing, they have to put something in place to replace that.
That's
Because
Exactly.
closing down Petrotrin didn't mean they're moving the people who live around there out. And if
Exactly.
Exactly.
that's it. So therefore, they had to come up with another company or something that would continue that service to the community after the close down Petrotrin. So they just left you all as though you all didn't exist. Just
Exactly.
forget them. They had to now see for themselves.
By
And that's-
being the most valuable part of the nation, the contribution to the national what they call it, GDP and all the revenues and things, this is a slap in the face for the people in that area.
Yes.
Yes. And some of them might have given their life to Petrotrin and work hard in that side of the country. Yeah.
The closure impacted
Parents,
on a lot of-
grandparents, all kinds of
Yeah,
things.
this
The
way
whole
them
families
for the
have
phase of their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling them, in other words, we used you. You made a contribution. Go somewhere else now.
Yeah.
It's like this wicked President Donald Trump. One time he was having a parade in front of the White House. I don't know if you all knew about it. Skippy and I always talk about it. But you know, you'd have the veterans, some of them who the amputees and so on, they come in different. It only told the people, the people don't like to see the amputees. Don't bring them. No, he doesn't want any, they know the wheelchair and so on.
Oh, he doesn't want
He
to see
didn't want
them,
them being part of the parade. I mean, but they gave almost their lives.
Yeah, they gave their limbs.
Mhm.
And their limbs for the country. And they're having a parade now to celebrate and honor the said people. You know, we tell them, don't bring them. Nobody want to see them. You believe that? I mean, it's the same thing. People in your community would have worked hard to help Petrotrin and the community to grow and blossom, and so many people would have lived well off of it. But now that they shut it down, they say, well, forget the people who had helped build it up. Just forget them. However, nobody care about them.
Water and garbage.
Forget
Come
them.
on.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Water
And it took
and garbage. We know when garbage stays out.
and we took
Rats.
and it took them 3 weeks, 21 days to figure out what they're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't find it out before they close it down.
Yeah. So 21 days we toting garbage down wherever we could find a public bin. You know, I learned that I mean I didn't know, never really thought about it because I always had garbage collection.
Yeah.
I had to figure out that my neighbor told me one day, she said, Janelle, you know what you're gonna have to do? When you clean your chicken and your shrimps and thing, put it in a plastic bag, put it in the freezer.
Yeah, we do that.
So that, you know, because you can't
When
leave it
you know
outside.
they come in, then you can take it out because it's
Then you can take it out. So she said, when you see, so if you know you're going and drop the garbage 2 days later, put it in the freezer so that's, you know, by that time, yeah, you know, you're dealing with the stink and the stench and the you know, any rats or anything. Because as I said, the place is so overgrown now that we have rodents like crazy.
And you said they caught a massive snake in the community?
Well, yeah, that's just one. Fortunately for me, I haven't seen it, but just a lot of the neighbors talk about how many times they seen snakes and all over the thing, and they're on the fences and all that sort of thing.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
A good time.
Now this area, no, this is like a horror story to an area that's like the West, you know?
Yeah.
From that to that, you know, instantly, you know.
like some kind of apocalypse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful one day, and you kind of, something happens, and you wake up and you
That's
look
it.
around and say,
Yeah.
what on
That's
earth happened here?
Yeah, if you had to enter that area from where the old hospital was, well, the degradation of the hospital would
an
have been
extra.
like a signal to what you're going to meet inside there. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you see the state of the hospital at the time, when I used to be taking my grandson to school, I used to say, this is not the area that I knew about. Where
Yeah.
am I going? I used to be very, very curious as to what ahead in this area that was pristine and prime. So how can it do that to the people? You don't have a heart?
Exactly. And imagine we had to beg for CPEP.
Imagine that.
We had to beg for a CPEP crew.
Yeah.
And thank God that the CPEP crew we have is managed by somebody who was living in Clifton Hill. So he had
Thank you, God.
heart for the place.
Yes.
Because
Right.
So he's
plenty of
really
these-
he's go be over and beyond to clean the
that's so
villages, and he even tries to trim the fences where the overgrown houses that Heritage Petroleum, Trinidad Petroleum Mullins left.
Yes.
He does a absolutely fabulous job. His crew really does a great job, but we had to beg for them. We had to beg for that. We couldn't get that either,
That's sickening.
you
Very
know.
much.
So
Quite sick. Yeah.
it's sad. It's really, really sad. It's very upsetting. I know it's very upsetting for the older people because, like David, they remember the place being so beautiful,
Yeah.
you know? And now it's just a horrible place to live. It's scary sometimes, especially when you think about all the amount of senior citizens. Because let's say about maybe 75% of the population in Clifton Hill is senior citizens. So they're living in, the house next to them is overgrown, whatever. You don't know, you know, what's going on. It could be going on in that house there, you know, and stuff like that. And it's just sad. It's really, 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 really sad, and nobody cares. I mean, I've heard people say that nobody cares in our government and stuff like that, but I've actually experienced it for the first time. I've actually experienced it, you know, and the neighbors are so dissuaded. They don't even want to protest or be bothered. They're just trying to fix the situation so that they could live, because they're old. They just want to live the rest of their life quietly, peacefully, you know.
At least on a like basic comfort.
Yeah. And you know, as you all said, the older people are I mean, they're gonna pass on and they're gonna leave their homes for their kids, but because of the area, the kids don't want to come back. I mean, a lot of people just don't want to live down in South because there's really not much industry down here anyway. But they don't even want to have the homes down here anymore. So they're actually either trying to sell it for a really ridiculous price, or they're leaving it to just be dilapidated.
Daddy Mac, any of this is linked to Lake Asphalt?
Well, I am awaiting more stories, because all this talk about a new road paving company.
Yes, I was interested with those words.
Let me give already heads up. That is the Lake Asphalt company they're trying to restructure.
Okay.
You understand? That is what they're trying to do, which I know could end up to be a lot of hullabaloo or election talk. It sounds like the plywood factory. It sounds like that to me. You know, something we have never seen. We only heard it on
Well, I hope they pay the Lake Asphalt workers who still is owed money.
They're handing out subventions. As a matter of fact, now there's hardly any knowledge, based on who I talk to in the unions and who work there and thing, as to who is running the country. The board resigned, the CEO resigned, but the CEO is still there.
Yeah.
And the chairman resigned a long time ago. They installed a new board. You see them mining and stuff. So I say something is in the mortar beside the pestle. So the elections are coming up, especially local elections. When they see they go crazy, they're starting to pave like they're mad. So now, to kill the talk about the mashing up of Lake Asphalt like Petrotrim, because I am telling you guys, this restructuring is a shutdown to put something else in place. They're probably not. The impact of closing Petrotrin and the impact it had on the Fenceland community and the entire South, even where Jinal is from, where the Petrotrin is concerned, is the same thing with Lake Asphalt. The people in Labre and surrounding areas, all of them build their foundation that they're on now from Lake Asphalt. There are some of the young people who are working there are paying mortgages, they have new cars, they have families, and like nobody cares in the red zone. So now, to keep the voters in the red zone, this is the kind of talk you're going to hear being, promoted, that this is going to happen now and this is going to happen now. You ain't see them mining the pitch and they're mining the pitch. Where are they getting the flux oil, which is the oil they get from Petrotrin, to mix with the refined asphalt to create bitumen?
Bitumen, correct.
I
had contacted, when I saw what was going on, I contacted the head of the union, and wonderful lady, and she doesn't know many things herself.
That's right.
The people are not being told what's happening, because I said maybe it's just me. I don't know, and I can't find information. Let me call this wonderful lady who was wonderful and very helpful, and let me talk and see what's going on and find out and what's going on, and nobody knows. You're just continuously living on a time bomb, waiting for the hammer to drop, and you can't treat human beings like this.
No.
Not people you're supposed to be. I don't care who you voted for, that's irrelevant. Who you're supposed to be looking after, for who you have as the government the responsibility for. You just feel like you're standing up and everything around you crumbling, and we drifting somewhere, going I don't know where.
It's difficult to know that Janelle and they are going through that, but when you said Janelle is from Point Fountain, I put on my headset and raised the volume, because I know Janelle is going to say something that is what is related to us in Labre.
Yes.
But David, do you remember when they said that they were restructuring Petrotrin?
Yes.
Remember that? It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Same thing happening.
Exactly. and they don't care who it affects. They living in the high towers, and they're glad that we put them in the high towers, and they just saying, well, let's see for ourselves now, you know.
They had their own agenda, you know.
That's right.
Yeah, that doesn't include people like this Janelle and others in that community and so on.
No.
In fact, if they're included on their agenda, it might be to help them get out, so the people that they really want to have get in could
That's
get
right.
in.
That's
Yeah.
right. That
Yeah.
area is a beautiful area, you know. That area,
Right.
you know, the PM once spoke about manicure and stuff.
That area was kept in that way.
That is the kind of standards that was set.
Yeah.
And it hurts my heart to know that the people who struggled all their lives to maintain that is now on the other sticky end of the stick. It's difficult. It's difficult to swallow.
It's very
I would
difficult to see.
I would ask Mickela to give Janelle the last word. I know we're down to.
Yes, I know. We stop at 6, and this was so good. We're having such a great time. Janelle, I'm going to give you the last word, but quickly, just before, I want to say thank you on behalf of Rich and Daddy Mac and definitely me. Thank you so much for coming on. Not many people these days are brave enough, because people are afraid and they're worried about discrimination and they're worried about victimization, especially in safe constituencies. So I put, my hat off to you. You're a sister, whatever, little I could do, that we are here. Thank you for being brave, and it's off to you now.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you, David, for backing me up here. I just want to say that I am so extremely disappointed in our representatives for Point Fortin. As you said, this is a red state. This place has been red for, I think it's only once since I've been alive that this has gone to another party. And maybe I've talked about only Clifton Hill because that's what I know, and I'm not in the political arena or anything in any sort of way, but I see the effects that lack of proper representation has brought to our community. So people of Point Fortin, please don't feel that I'm just not leaving you guys out, because I see it in all our areas. When you drive through Point Fortin now, it's really sad to see that, as you said, this is the heart of our financial industry in Trinidad, our economy, and to see how it is now, and to see that year after year we vote people in and they do nothing for our community. We don't borrow day. What is that? What is having borrow day?
That is
one time a year? How was that?
That's when they have a party enjoying the frills of the people.
Exactly. But so many basic things are needed in this community. Just as one sidebar, we get a new hospital. Woohoo! It's the same capacity as it was the old hospital. That all the major cases still have to go to San Fernando General.
Exactly.
I know that.
What you're saying there is, if again, according to Jack Warner, if Christopher Columbus comes up there, he can't get lost.
No, you can't.
Everything is the
Same thing.
Same thing. It's the same. It's the same. No development.
No development. So I hope that when it's time to put new people in to represent us, that we would think and evaluate to our best abilities, and really and truly don't think on a me basis, but think on a community basis. Think about all of us who live in here, because even though it's Clifton Hill that I talk about now, it still affects other areas and other people and all sorts of things. So I really hope that people will really, I am not siding for anybody, I'm just saying that I hope that we will do a better job of making good decisions for our future. Because right now, Point Fortin has little or no prosperous future, unfortunately.
Daddy Mac, I hope it won't be against you if you hear your voice being run from time to time. Daddy Mac, I think we may need to run some of what she said in conclusion there from time to time. to allow people to know what is happening up here in the East West Corridor is also happening down in Clifton Hill and all over the south.
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrible. The governance is one could easily say is one of the worst we have experienced, in our lives in this country. And it's worse, they have the money, they have the resources. This government has a lot of money, they could actually make the statement now that money is no problem, but they don't want to do that. They want to release the money in close to 2010 or just before an election to make people feel that they just fixed the things. Mix, I hope you're on next week.
Yes.
When you're not on, I'm trying to do the shows with a greater degree of aggression. I don't know, because I'm sad that you're not on.
Yeah.
So,
I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Thank you so much.
Yes,
We had a good show.
Yes.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
indeed.
And Janelle, you spoke about I am propping you up. I'm happy that you said what you said too, because I've been saying this over and over, and at the slightest opportunity, I talk about what's happening within that little Point Fountain area. So I'm happy that you can say what you're saying so that they would know that I'm not making things up.
Nah, you're on point, as they say. Very much so. Very much so.
Yes. So
Thank
you
you
Thank you
for
so
sharing.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mickela.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
Mickela.
Next week,
Bye.
thank you, Janelle.
Yes.
Yeah,
Daddy
nice
back
to
on
meet
the-
you,
to the
Richard.
moon.
Yes. Okay.
See ya.
Enjoy the rest
Bye.
of your day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
We have news coming up straight at the top.
Power 102 Digital. We sound like home. Power 102 Digital. Streaming 24/7 on power102fm.com and on the Power 102 Digital app. Power 102 Digital. This is your news bulletin.